A person with a positive attitude cannot be stopped. A person with a negative attitude cannot be helped. In other words, a person with a positive attitude is unstoppable. Chapter 2. Life is funny. Let's get started. The lines on our palm do not decide our future. There are those without hands who not only write their own futures, but also those of others. Put the man together. One day, a young executive came home with a bag full of work. He had a 5-year-old boy who wanted to play with him. The executive tried to explain to him by saying, "Son, I've got a lot of work to do. I'm behind in my office." The son replied, "Dad, when we are behind in school, they put us in a slower group. Why don't they put you in a slower group?" The father responded, "No, son, it doesn't work that way in the corporate world." Unable to understand the reason, the child insisted on playing with his dad. The father wanted to find a way to get rid of the kid for some time so he could catch up with his work. He saw a magazine lying next to him with the picture of the world on top. He called his son, showed him the picture, tore it up into pieces and said, "Son, go put this picture of the world together. When you are done, I'll come and play with you." He knew this couldn't be done easily, and even if it could, it would still take him many hours to complete. The kid went to put the map together and the father got busy with his work. Surprisingly, within a few minutes, the kid came back and said, "Dad, I am done." The father was shocked and said, "Son, I don't believe it. I've got to see it." When the father saw that everything was indeed all done to perfection, he said, "Son, I've got to learn from you. How did you do it?" The kid said, "Dad, it was easy. On the other side of the picture of the world was a picture of a man. All I did was put the man together, turn it upside down, and the world came together." What appeared so complicated and time-consuming to the father was literally child's play for the son, who came up with a very simplistic solution. But the spirit of the story is different. When people are thinking right, things fall into place and solutions start emerging. Life is funny. For as long as we are alive, we keep learning how to live life. Life continuously teaches and tests us in varied situations, such as the breakdown of a relationship, a serious illness, or the loss of a loved one. Is there anyone who has not been on an emotional roller coaster while experiencing all or some of the above? None. Such experiences can either make a person become better or grow bitter. What can a person do when he faces a situation that seems like a dead end? Further, how can a person convert his setbacks into comebacks? How are a few people, unlike most others, able to convert obstacles into opportunities and problems into possibilities? They are able to do so because they are prepared and possess win-ability skills that consist of their attitudes, resolves, resolutions, and commitments, among others. Work the idea. Once a student asked the teacher, "How can I achieve my potential? I want to be a great writer." The teacher asked the boy, "Do you know where the greatest potential lies?" The student said, "Yes, of course, in schools and colleges." The teacher said, "That's not true. Come, I'll show you where the greatest potential in the world lies." He took the student to a cemetery and said, "Look at all these people lying here. They all had great potential. They wanted to become great artists, athletes, musicians, writers, and entrepreneurs. They all lived and died with the philosophy, I could have, I should have, but I didn't. They died with the potential in them. An idea dies unless it is acted upon. The best idea will not work unless we work the idea. Price for success. There was a massive oak tree at the center of a village. While the villagers enjoyed the shade provided by the oak tree, they took its existence for granted as it had been around for decades. However, one day, unexpectedly, it came crashing down. The shocked villagers soon made some meaningful discoveries. Although the tree had seemed healthy externally, termites had rendered it hollow on the inside. The villagers understood that the tree had obviously not decayed overnight. They also realized that had they nurtured and protected the wonderful tree, they could have enjoyed the shade for a long time to come. They lost the tree because of their indifferent attitude. If we are not willing to pay the price for success, then whether we like it or not, we will have to pay the price for failure. A price has to be paid no matter what. We need to clearly understand that success does not only depend upon special skills, formal education, or superior intelligence. If this were true, our world would not be populated by so many unsuccessful yet highly educated and skilled people. If we examine the life histories of successful people, we will find that they share some common qualities and behavioral patterns. Therefore, following these common qualities is one way of ensuring success. Similarly, unsuccessful people share some common behavioral traits. Therefore, we can save ourselves from failure by avoiding these traits. Ancient wisdom says that God gave us two ends, one to think with and the other to sit on. Success depends on which end we use the most. Achievements do not come by default. They are first learnt and then practiced. The miracle of being healthy and wealthy begins with learning the process that leads to success. It is ongoing till death. A good life is not measured by bank balances and material possessions alone. It is measured by our attitude towards life. It is both a philosophy as well as an idea to live by. Life becomes worthwhile only when we plan our lives. When we do this, we are sure to achieve incredible results. However, if we do not plan our lives, there is a strong probability that we will automatically become a part of someone else's plan. In other words, we should live by design, not by default. When people fail, it does not necessarily make them failures. This is because failing can often be treated as a detour but never as a dead end. We might have failed, but that does not mean that we are failures. Therefore, the probability of failure should not stop us from striving for the possibility of success. Winners are not afraid of losing, but losers are afraid of winning. Losers consciously want to win, but subconsciously they don't believe they can. Since they don't believe they can win, they start half-heartedly and end up losing anyway. Then they justify it by saying, I knew I couldn't do it, but I gave it a shot, converting their belief into a self-fulfilling prophecy. They sabotage their own success because they are afraid of winning. Most people see opportunities, but very few seize them. Often, one of the most painful moments in our life is when an opportunity knocks on our door and we find ourselves unprepared. If we are not prepared when the opportunity comes and start preparing then, it's too late. Success is achieved when opportunity is complemented with preparation. However, those who are unprepared blame their luck. Every victory is the result of the following components: sacrifice, self-discipline, hard work, commitment, integrity, and responsibility, besides our willingness to invest time, effort, and money. Only when we are prepared with such qualities can we fetch abundant and gratifying returns. There are no free lunches in this world. Without preparation, one can neither consistently achieve success nor sustain it. Obstacles test our preparedness to successfully convert the obstacles into opportunities. Michelangelo, a great Italian sculptor, achieved mastery by choosing hard work and sacrifice and rejecting mediocrity. Had he chosen mediocrity, nobody would have remembered him. When we accept mediocrity, we become mediocre people with mediocre achievements. Most successful achievers are those who wanted to quit but did not. The greater our preparation, the greater is the probability of us achieving success in life. Wouldn't it be a lot better if we prepared ourselves early in life? It is aptly said that youth is often wasted. By the time a person gains maturity and good sense, youth is gone. Considering this truism, youngsters can lead much more useful and fulfilling lives. Human beings do not realize how and when they become teenagers. As teenagers, we believe that we have all the answers and solutions to the world's problems, not knowing that most of the time we don't even have the right questions. In our 20s, we often do not know where we are. We are neither here nor there, or we are either here or there. In our 30s, we want to make money and raise our families, but wonder how we missed out on our 20s. In our 40s, our shapely bodies change. Our stomachs become wider than our chests. We grow double chins. Dancing no longer holds the same degree of enticement, while music seems to be more noise than melody. In our 50s, our childhood friends become grandparents and many of us go through surgeries. However, we prefer to call them procedures. In our 60s, music still seems like loud sound. However, it no longer bothers us as we have started losing our hearing. We want to take it easy, but we do not know what is easy. In our 70s, we retire. We have breakfast at 11 o'clock, lunch at 4 o'clock, and dine at 10 o'clock. We are lost. We prefer window shopping as a pastime. We enjoy eating soft food, ice creams, and yogurts. We wonder where our kids are. In our 80s, we suffer strokes and wonder what's next. That is when we begin to realize that years have passed by much faster than days and weeks. That's when we also realize that living a meaningless life is akin to merely existing. In fact, it is only waiting for death. In life, everyone needs to make a choice every day between keeping busy with living or waiting to die. Only a meaningful life gives fulfillment. Life without fulfillment is empty. It is like good looks without goodness. Confusion personified. Unfortunately, some people who live lives of confusion expect success. However, it does not happen this way. This is a typical example of a confused dad who wrote the following hilarious letter to his son. Dear Steve, out of consideration, I am writing this letter slowly because I know you read slowly. I read in the newspaper that most accidents take place within 10 miles from where you live. So, we have decided to move. I don't have the new address because the previous family that lived here took the house number with them when they moved so that they wouldn't have to change their address. The jacket that you wanted me to courier to you, Your aunt thought was too heavy to send with the zippers. Therefore, we cut off the zippers and put them into the jacket's pockets. Your sister-in-law just had a baby, but I don't know what it is yet. Therefore, I cannot tell you if you have become an aunt or an uncle. This story might sound exaggerated, yet many people live their lives in this fashion. This story is a classic example of stupidity and ignorance in action. To some people, what appears to be clear thinking may be nothing short of clear confusion. There is something called warped or messed up thinking. For example, foolish people think exercise is useless. If they are well, they think they don't need it, and if they are sick, they cannot do it anyway. There is a strange kind of confidence that emanates only out of ignorance. Martin Luther King Jr., an American civil rights activist, said, "Nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." It is said that ignorance is bliss. Well, it's really not true. In my opinion, ignorance is misery and a disaster. Go ask a lawyer. What we don't know can hurt us a lot in life. Go ask a medical doctor. What we don't know can hurt us a lot in life. Therefore, ignorance is not bliss. In fact, there is nothing more dangerous than stupidity and ignorance in action. No matter how hard you try, ignorance cannot be concealed and wisdom gets revealed. People who inhabit our world can be categorized under various heads. They can be talkers or doers, leaders or followers, those who leave footprints or those who leave butt prints. Finally, there can be those who design their lives or those who live their lives by default. All of us fall into one or a combination of these categories. We need to decide which group we want to belong to. There remain two more types of people with whom we share our planet: success seekers and failure avoiders. Success seekers. Success seekers are those who play to win out of inspiration. They are motivated, optimistic, and hopeful. They have a burning desire. They have fire in their bellies. They are doers. They are action-oriented. They are enthusiastic and inquisitive. They have a competitive spirit and finish what they start. They keep asking themselves, what if, what if, what if? They want to be better, faster, and smarter than the best. They obsess, eat, drink, and breathe their passion. No wonder they become unstoppable and end up being winners. They may or may not be good leaders, but they are achievers. They leave footprints no matter what they do or where they go. Failure avoiders. Failure avoiders are those who go through life playing not to lose. They play out of desperation. They only have a preference but no conviction. They have a very casual approach to life. They give up at the slightest obstacle. They are laid back and complacent, and they are neither good leaders nor good followers. "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take," said Wayne Gretzky, the famous Canadian professional ice hockey player. Next, there are three kinds of people based on the quality of success: unsuccessful, temporarily successful, significantly successful. The significantly successful are the ones with substance and character. They sustain success, leaving the world a little better than how they found it. This book will help us learn how to be a success seeker and not a failure avoider. Achievers recognize opportunities and seize them.